Mm. Hi. What's up? I am Diamond Stylz, Executive Director of Black Transgenders Inc., and host of Marsha's Plate Podcast. All my links are in the bottom. And this is an after show. And we're back. Hey, how are you? Cool ass chick. Give folks a chance to come back in. I'm so glad that what you call it showed me this dude that do the cheese. Oh, yes. I'm going to stay on to hear the masculinity chat. Then I'm going to hit the hay because I got to do work later. I don't know which one. I guess I would want to know which it was a whole 2-hour conversation. Well, an hour and a half. I want to know which one. I don't know how to pronounce their name, and I don't know if it's a girl or a boy. I want to know what the emasculating. What point did you want me to expound on? Make a baby Yoda dance. Body yaddy 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 yaddy. Hey Sparkle, blessings Diamond Girl. Happy holidays to you as well. When Mirazi wins, she's supposed to be in here. Mizani. I need to catch up on all the podcasts. Marsha's Play 2, Queen J, and Box 5112. I always say 5112. Box 512. Box 512. So I think I don't know what we were talking about. So we were did they come back in? I wonder, is she talking about the one? I already posted the okay, you talked about the power of the black men thinking they have versus the power of the oppressor and the black men calling it emasculating. Was that in the Mike Tyson conversation or the end of the conversation when I was talking about white masculinity? I think that was at the end. So let me go look. I don't think I deleted my show notes. So let me talk about that. Let me go to my show notes. Okay, yes. So, okay, got it. I think I know where you at. All right. So during the if you listen to the podcast, I go into more detail than I'm going to go in tonight on this. But during the early 1900s, okay, so you got to understand where we was coming from as a country in the 1800s. We were going from a very rural, live in small towns. Everything was kind of connected. People were living out in the country. People were farming and doing this kind of stuff. we were coming in, when we get into the 1900s, like early 1900s, we were coming into a space where we were getting more industrial and consumer based. Like a lot of the economy was about the rural areas and having land and tilling your land. But it got to a point where when people started to with advancements and stuff like that, people started to move and live in cities, and it became business stuff happening in cities, not farming and shit like that. It started to be consumer things started to come happen. Like assembly lines started to make things where it was just like say baby dolls, like dolls and shit like that. There were companies that were just making dolls for people to buy. There was just production was going to the next level. Industry was going to the next level. And there was different people, like all these names that we think about when we talk about rich people names like Rockefeller, when we think about JP Morgan, when we think about Ford, when we think about these names that are synonymous with rich whiteness, they were a part of this industry. They were using labor of immigrants coming in, of Black folks who were free at the time. You know what I'm saying? Because this is 1900. So yes, they're free. So they got free in 1865. So from that, 50 years later, so 1865, that's 40, and then so like 60, 70 years later. So now this is the kids of slaves. So these are kids in the 1900s. These are the kids of people who used to live on farms, but now they live in cities. So there starts to be this culture happening. When we talk about the 20s and the 30s with the Harlem Renaissance, there was a culture happening in the scene. There was a culture. There was it just was a different. The country hadn't seen this type of action happening. Black folks was being pushed into ghettos. Black and immigrant folks were being pushed into ghettos. It just was a conglomerate, just a bunch of shit happening. So what started to happen politically, there started to be this movement around defining white masculinity, because whiteness as a construct, whiteness, not, we all know race is fake, but whiteness as a construct of we are white and we are the best, we are the supreme. It was under attack because immigrants was coming, Black folks was free, Black folks was building businesses, they're able to use their minds and be brilliant in a way that they weren't able to be before. So they was in the market of being competitive with white folks, but they had to keep this idea of white supremacy. You feel what I'm saying? They had to keep the idea. And you got to understand, before 1920s, the white girls couldn't vote. So it was a white masculine narrative that needed to survive. All these things were threatening the white masculine narrative, particularly homosexuality, particularly white women, particularly Black men, particularly Black women, immigrants. It just seems like there was more freedom for the people who were attacking white supremacy in a different way than we are now. But it's everything. So they had to establish an image of a white man that was the pinnacle. Okay, so a person who was hey, Cactus Flower, a person who was quintessential in selling this narrative was Theodore Roosevelt, the president. He was young. He overcome some physical ailments that he had through physical activity. So this is a president in the same way that Donald Trump was selling I'm a billionaire, I'm a businessman, blah, 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 blah. Theodore was selling, I am somebody who came out of with this ailment and I became this strong white man. This was the image that he was selling while he became president. I'm this strong white man. I'm physically fit. He would bring boxers to, like, professional boxers to the White House to spar with him. This is the type of imaging that they were giving. So, I'm trying to give this image of white man. Another thing that was happening, literature. There was Tarzan. Tarzan was popular as fuck. One of the reasons why, if you read the actual book, not the Disney Tarzan, because that's watered down. That's not how it was when it came out. What was happening during that time is lynching was happening. They was killing black people. And in that book, it was symbolism. American football, yes. Any kind of sports, anything where a man can be a man, a man can be a man, and it just was this image of masculinity that was you broad. So Tarzan was one. Tarzan was one of them. It's many of them. Paul Bunyan. That this era is when all of this shit started, where it was just this strong, manly man, white man. Because that image, they're solidifying whiteness. They are trying to sell you this idea of whiteness. But what comes along with that idea of whiteness, okay? This masculine, buff, strong man is heteronormativity, cis heteronormativity, the family unit. You were not a strong white man if you didn't have a wife, a feminine wife on your side that you took care of, and you had children, and you were a family man. That was a part of the mature man. That was a part of the narrative. This is what you do. You have a wife that is upstanding and virginal and homely, and that's why he was married to ugly ass Eleanor, who was the dyke on the side. Anyway, real talk. But that's a whole other conversation. But homely and respectable. This is the type of wife that you're supposed to have. Family, kids, blah, 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 blah. This was the image. The image. But you got to remember, the 70, 60 years before this, it was also, this is a homely Southern Belle type of wife. This is not necessarily in the South, but this kind of type of wife. And you only have sex with her to procreate. This is, I want y'all to think of how different the times are. Back then, in this time, homosexuality wasn't just by itself. It was a conglomerate of things that were considered wrong and immoral. Masturbation. Kellogg's, the dude Kellogg's, he created cornflakes to steer you from masturbating. Literally, real talk, y'all. This is facts. I'm not making this up. He created cornflakes. The cornflakes that you see in the grocery store, the grains, he was selling, he was anti-black, and he was selling that to stop masturbation, these grains, these cornflakes, these grains will help you stop masturbating. Look it up. I'm for real. It sounds ridiculous, but these white people were ridiculous. They were ridiculous. Racism is ridiculous. Racism is stupid. But this is what they were trying to sell it. So it was not anything that did not produce children was wrong. So homosexuality, anal sex, oral sex, masturbating. So it wasn't just anti-gay. It was an they were trying to make it, if it's not making babies, it is wrong. So you shouldn't be doing it. So that's why back in the day, they were like, your wife is your Christian wife. You only have sex with her when you're trying to make your heirs and you're trying to make your family and build your family and go on with your legacy with your son and your daughters and da 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 da. But if you really want to do some freak stuff, you do the freak stuff with your slaves. You don't do it to your Christian wife. That's why you go to the slave house and you do all your nasty. You want to do some anal, do it with your slave. You want to do some sex, unmarital sex, and da 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 da, do it with your slaves. You don't do it with your Christian wife. 1 second. Hey, mommy, how are you?
Fine. I just doing
Huh? I think you're losing signal. Anyway, so yes, if you want to do some underage freaky stuff, you want to do some whatever you want to sell you, whatever you want to do that to your slaves because they like animals. You don't have to do that. You don't do it to your wife. So anyway, so coming into the 1900s, they were trying to stop you from doing all the pleasure stuff. This country was founded by Puritans. They were trying to run away from the European Roman Catholics. They wanted to just be the regular ass Protestant motherfuckers. They didn't want it to. So back in the day, even before this time, before that even America was not created, but you know what I mean. Before it was established, the United States was established. Actually, Catholicism, the Italian Catholic Rome, they were actually considered progressive. They were into the homosexual shit. They reformed and did some weird shit now, so they more conservative now. But there was a time when they were the progressive ones, accepting things that they shouldn't be accepting divorces and accepting, you get what I'm saying? So the Puritans that was running away from Europe, they were more conservative and they were running away from that as well. So when they started this new land, in quotes, y'all. When they came over here, they wanted the rules to be about the family unit and about whiteness. Because, the Moors was coming into Europe, teaching them how to irrigate land, teaching them how to wash their ass. And, they wanted to be nasty trifling and come over here and be nasty trifling and, and get rid of them Moors, them African Moors, them uppity African Moors that think they better than everybody else because they know how to irrigate land and wash their butts. We're going to take that knowledge, but y'all ain't better than us. So they came over here trying to keep that ideal. And so anyway, so they were selling this narrative that women are beneath us. We are the white masculine man. Anything that we were producing, consumerism, the advertisement was about that, getting that image. So if you think about that, Black folks, just like they were trying to mimic white folks in other things, they were trying to mimic this idea because this is the way you survive. This is just like we got the Candace Owens now. It was worse back then because only way you could get somewhere is if you could walk through the world mimicking whiteness as close as possible. Do you see what I'm saying? Simple as that. You couldn't talk like a country ass slave, or they knew you was a slave and weren't gonna respect you. So you literally had to mimic them in every kind of way. The way you dressed, the way you talked, the way you write, the way you do everything that you do. So one of those images that they were trying to mimic was this virile white masculine man. And so homosexuality didn't have anything to do with it. The power that be, if you were trying to be an uppity Negro, it wasn't about making you a homosexual. It wasn't about emasculating you into some sexual thing. It was about to keep you out of patriarchy. It's to let you know, sweetie, you are not a masculine white man. Yeah, you can beat me in all the sports. That's why we're not letting you play in white sports. Yeah, think about everything that they were trying to keep black men out of. It's about power. You're not about to show us up. Remember when that white boxer was fighting that black boxer, and that big one, and the black boxer won? They didn't want that to be shown. That upends the whole thing that we're trying to sell. That we are better. That we are more masculine, more virile, the pinnacle of masculinity. And you about to come in here and shake it all up? It's not about us trying to make you homosexual. If there was some buck breaking, I'm not saying that there, the idea of buck breaking. I'm not saying that there were no freak ass fucking faggot. Y'all know what I mean. It wasn't no freak fucking gay shit happening. Like there wasn't no slave masters or gay poor white men that wasn't doing no gay shit to slaves. You're not about to get me to think that wasn't happening. It was happening. I know it was. So in my mind, you're not about to yes, was that shit happening? But it's just like it's happening now. We not fucking you see how like you look at porn sites and you see these videos called the Big Black Bull, where they literally using a black man for the pleasure of a white woman and the white man. It's literally, I know shit like that was happening back then. You're not about to get me to think that, ooh, this just came out now. I know this is what y'all was doing. Y'all was seeing these big, fine ass black men walking around with these big ass dicks, and you ain't want to fuck them. And you looking at your husband with this little late piece. You think y'all wasn't sexualizing black men? Yes, I know y'all were. And there were no gay white men that was playing, or there were no gay black slaves that was playing. You're not about to get me to believe that none of this stuff, these underbellies of culture, wasn't happening, just like it's happening right now. You're not about to get me to believe that. So it's not that I don't know that it was happening. It's just that I don't think that it was a tactic. Like, ooh, we want to turn black men homosexual to emasculate them and let the trans people, let this trans and homosexual thing. They were against all of that, blackness and homosexuality. So they wouldn't condone any of that shit. They're not trying to, so this idea that black men have when they're getting held accountable, and this is what we were talking about. That black women, white men, white women, this whole black women, whatever, this whole idea of emasculating our men. What I was sharing on the show is how it's not emasculating our men. We're not emasculating them. What you see happening is the undoing of the over masculinization of the image of men based on that white old masculine trope of this is how it's supposed to be. This is what masculinity looks like. You should be into sports. You should be buff. You should be taking women and using women and this is the image of a man. You can have any woman you want. You have power. You have you do that shit on the low, like have as many women as you want on the low, but you have an upstanding family in one era of your life. This is the boys will be boys situation. Don't forget the devil weed, the weed against marijuana. Is it the same time? This is a part of the weed started about when it was that was really against the Mexicans. It got worse against the Mexicans. And what you're seeing now, us undoing that. around that time, and it was the reefer madness was to demonize the immigrants, to demonize like Mexicans and shit. That's why it's called marijuana. Not that it wasn't used against black men, but yes. But it really started when it was trying to be used against the Latinx folks. Prohibition, yes. So yes, what we're seeing is the undoing of what was created in this era, in the 20s and in the 30s. What was created, this image, this fake image that they were selling in the literature, in the advertisement, and I talked about this on the show, where the advertisement, there was literally one popular one, the Arrow Man. The Arrow Man, he was this blonde, dapper, exactly what James Bond is, except not foreign, not British. Exactly what James Bond is. He is like this dapper, blonde, always in formal coats. That image was what they wanted to mimic. But what they didn't know is that they hired a gay man to create this image, and that image was based on his lover. The image was based on his lover. So they're going to, when you create this image of this perfect white masculine man, it's going to eventually get sexualized. And this is what was new. Advertisement prior to this was sexualizing women. You would see women, you look at all advertising with women with their backs out. Flappers were the hippies of the day. Little bit different, but yes. Flappers of that time were the hippies of that day. Yeah, little bit different in political, but yes. Absolutely. But yes. So that's just what it is. They started to do what they started to sexualize that masculine image, and everything was. It just started to be about how we can get these people to buy stuff because it was a consumer-based market. We have created a way for us to make all of these products accessible. So that's when window treatment started to happen. They started to show lingerie in the windows, on the mannequins. All that stuff started during this time, and people would protest when the window dressings was too sexy. They would protest the windows of the stores with signs picketing the church folks. Mm-hmm. And ended up dying broke. Yes, he did. Yep. It was another one too. But yeah, they wanted it to be separate for a reason. They wanted it to be separate. But yes, that's what it was. That's what I was talking about. Just how it's not really about emasculating you. It's not really about emasculating black men or the image of masculine. It is really gatekeeping you and keeping you out of patriarchy, keeping you out of power, keeping you out of white power, keeping you out of because power is synonymous with white masculinity. Yes, Mother's Day, Hallmark card created. Yes, all of that stuff was birthed out of this industry. What's a good way, in your opinion, to start to unlearn anti-blackness? I think you should read. I think you should read and put it into practice. Oh gosh. It's not gonna happen fast. Like you let me get, because even my woke ass, there's some things that triggers in my brain. Let me give you a perfect example. I watched a video earlier and they're about the Queen of Europe. It was basically about the crown, and it was an interview with it was a black girl interviewing. It was a black girl interviewing. I gotta show y'all the video so y'all can understand it. Y'all can click it, because what I started looking at is right in the beginning. Let me go to my history. Copy link address. So this video is a black girl interviewing two white people, the actors of The Crown that's playing Charles and Diana. It's just a black interviewer. And when it first came on, I immediately went down to her feet, the black girl's feet. And I looked at her feet and I was like, why is she doing this interview with her feet sitting like that? Why is she doing this interview with them shoes on? Them look like house shoes. I literally started to judge what that black girl had on and how her feet was sitting while she was doing the interview. It's really small, but it was anti-blackness. I was judging her. I was like, what? Why are you on this interview in this classy ass motherfucking decorated room with these shoes on? With these sitting there. I wanted her to be beat. I wanted her to be a certain way. What that way was, I don't know. But it triggered something in me, and I had to check my brain. In the moment, I had to check my brain and say, this is anti-blackness. Check it. Why can't she be sitting here talking to them in this space with them lace shoes on? Why can't she be? If it was, and I had to think, if this was somebody else, would I have the same reaction? Am I putting her under a different scrutiny because she's black? In the context of we're talking about this, it's so many things that I had to think about and catch myself, because that's one of the ones. Look at how, if y'all click the video, look at her feet. It's just something about her feet that triggered me. Listen to Dr. Khalid Muhammad's video to cure anti-blackness. I haven't watched him, so I don't know yet. What it was for me, it was bell hooks. Because sometimes when I just listen to men talk about anti-blackness, they only have just a racial analysis. I need folks to have someone should have told her, we have to be 10 times better. Yes, Cheryl, but that's racist. But we shouldn't have to be 10 times better. Thinking that and living up to that is racist. We shouldn't have to do that. We should be able to come just as free as they come. I was judging her in a way that I don't think I would have judged. I don't even think I would have looked at. Did y'all see her feet? Did y'all click it? There was something about it was too regular to me. It looks like she was sitting on a porch. That's what it reminded. And that may be in my mind, I registered as that my anti-blackness, and I needed to check it. And so it's just a constant thing that you can kind of that you got to be aware of. I know for me, anti-blackness shows up in the smallest details, wanting someone to not be too loud. Yes, wanting someone to speak a certain way, basing someone's humanity off their education, socioeconomic status. He was Farrakhan's right-hand man and then the leader of the new Black Panther Party. Yeah, so I because of when it comes to Farrakhan folks and that, they don't always have a gender analysis that I like, so I don't want to fuck with it. Black men tend to overlook how gender and sexuality commingle in anti-blackness. Yes, I was raised racist. Hmm. Yeah, I saw the feed. It looked. I don't know how to say that word. Apocalyptic, apocalyptic, or whatever how you say that. What that mean, girl? Let me look that up. You done stumped me.
Apoplectic.
Apoplectic, overcome with anger, extremely indignant. Okay, so I learned a new word.
Apoplectic.
Thank you. Indignity. Maybe if it if it extremely indignant. Because I sure was angry when I saw it. Like she didn't give a fuck to be there. In your opinion, why does anti-blackness show up so differently in Black men versus Black women? Black men tend to be so evasive. Your thoughts? It shows up in Black women too. Anti-blackness shows up in beauty with Black women, and when we talk about colorism, when we talk about class, it shows up. It shows up in Black women too. Anti-blackness is, if you live in America, it shows up in everybody. It's not nobody is exempt from it. Nobody. It shows up. It shows up in different ways because they are in two different positions of power. Yes, in the structure. Yes, good hair versus bad hair, featureism, what's more beautiful, what's not beautiful. Um, for me, I like to talk about it from my own standpoint because you're trying to fix anti-blackness in yourself. So I like to talk about examples that I go through personally. Um, the too loud thing, there is a tendency for me to judge Black people who are too fucking loud. When it like my apartment complex. I feel like my apartment complex should be quiet. I lived here. I've been living here for 10 years. And I don't like it when there's a lot of loud fighting. It's not that I'm wrong. It's not that I'm wrong. Because I don't think I'm wrong for wanting my apartment complex to be quiet. But because most of the time, when it's some loud arguing and fighting, it's my Black neighbors. I'm annoyed by that. And so when some Black people move in, I'm always like, oh Lord, I wonder are they gonna be ghetto or not. That's anti-blackness that I don't need to have. But that's something that I work through. Night night, Reggie. That's anti-blackness. That is something that's one. What else? Trying to think of something that's really slick, that tries to be slick. Um I get ashamed. I don't say anything, but I get ashamed when that's excuse me, I gotta sneeze. When somebody is asked a question, say that I'm in the midst of a bunch of trans women. This is just an example. And there are multiple people, multiple levels of people who different backgrounds, different levels of education. Somebody asks a question, an academic question. One of the ratchet girls get up and start to answer the question. She doesn't have the vernacular. She doesn't have she doesn't have the range to answer the question. I get embarrassed when that happens. Physically embarrassed. That's class. And it doesn't happen when it's a white person. So like if it's a white person who doesn't have the range, I'm more it's not a physical reaction. It's like, oh, this motherfucker don't know what they talk about. Sit down. Shut up. You see what I'm saying? But if it's a black person and they don't have the range and they're trying to explain it with their range, it physically is embarrassing for me because I want them to have the range. I think part of it is that, Coco. It's a conglomerate of things, and I want she should be able, because like there are some people who don't have the range, but they know what the hell they're talking about or who don't have maybe the right words or right say, but they know instinctively because they got a fucking PhD in racism or whatever their experience it is. They know what they mean, but they just don't have the vocabulary to express it. But they know what they feel, and they know that this is what I'm experiencing. A perfect example is a Fannie Lou Hamer. She was a country bumpkin from fucking Mississippi, the Delta of Mississippi. But she changed the trajectory of this country because she knew that this was wrong. I may not have all the fancy words to say, but I can say it in my way that's more relatable for people and people can understand it. Cardi B an example. Cardi B, sometimes you will hear Cardi B get political and it be on point, but it's just not the right, it's not the academic way to say things. It's the hood, regular motherfucker way to say things. But she's making the same point. And so I don't get cringy with her. Sometimes I do. Sometimes. But I have to consciously say, yes, feminist icon. She knows what she's talking about, and I'll go in the comments and say it. If somebody don't understand what she's saying, I can explain it in the more academic way, quote unquote. You see what I'm saying? And so that's another anti-black. It's classist and anti-blackness that comes. All of these things are intertwined. What else? Sometimes anti-blackness manifests in a flipped way. So this is my weirdness. So usually we think anti-blackness where you are oppressing somebody because of their blackness, but it still can. You can be doing something good and it still be rooted in white supremacy. Clock that, because you gotta. This is how you gotta really self-analyze. Mine shows up in my sexuality. So I am very, but this isn't just anti-blackness. This is almost this is part of anti-blackness. This is part of colorism. This is part of this gender thing, patriarchy too. So I like dark-skinned men, right? I actually prefer them. Now, on a racist colorism perspective, you'd be like, oh, that's not a problem. You like dark men. Usually it's you like lighter. Lighter is the best. Da 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 da. But the same problematic system but my taste is rooted in the same problematic system that a person who likes light-skinned women is rooted in. The colorism that privileged light-skinned women is the same disgusting colorism that my taste, that is just because my shit is warped in a sense like this. So I associate masculinity with dark skin. So I like dark skinned men. Colorism and white supremacy and all that shit associate masculinity with dark skin. It just doesn't show up in the same way that it shows up for me as wrong, but it's still rooted in the same shit. Do you feel what I'm saying? I am a trans woman. I associate my womanhood with masculine and feminine. I want something. That is opposite of what I want to be. And so for me, that's the darkest thing, the most nappy-headed thing, I don't want you to have no curly hair. I want you to be that. And so that may to a dark-skinned boy who never been liked, who always been shunned about his dark skin, to him, he gonna be like, ooh, she loves me. They're not gonna see the problematic roots of that. They're gonna be like, ooh, you really like me. I ain't never felt that. But it's still rooted in the same trash shit. And that's something that I got to dismantle. What is the difference between anti-blackness versus preferences? It's a bit confusing. It's what it's rooted in. Your preferences can be rooted in anti-blackness. Exactly, because they associate lighter skin with femininity. Yes. Your preferences, if I only like dark-skinned boys because my preferences is rooted in the fact that dark skin is masculine because of anti-blackness, that's problematic. Because what does that say to me in my psyche about dark-skinned women? If I associate dark skin with the most masculine thing, what does that say to my psyche? I can sit here and say I'm woke and anti-colorism and da 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 da. But if I'm still maneuvering dating only dark-skinned men because that's my preference, and I'm not clocking it and I'm not paying attention and I'm not fixing it, do you see how those are connected? Because it's still rooted in that same negative colorism. It's just not showing up in a problematic nature. It's not showing up it's not showing up in a way that prefers light skin. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's almost goes under the radar when nobody says nothing about it. So I have to do that reflection for myself. Do you see what I'm saying? Me liking dark skinned dudes, ain't nobody gonna be like, oh, she problematic. No, they're gonna be like, oh, because usually, you know, it's gonna be the light skin that's the preferred. You can't compare ice cream with preferences that's rooted in race. It's two different things. It's not me liking barbecue bags of chips and me liking sour cream more than barbecue. None of that is rooted in the structure of race in the culture. There are preferences that's rooted because you were informed by the racistness of the culture, of what is pretty, what is beautiful, what is masculine, what is feminine, what should be, what deserved to be praised and loved and considered attractiveness. All of that is rooted in the culture that's around you. There's no culture that says certain potato chips are evil, certain potato chips are worthy less of love. There's nothing. You can't you can't compare the two because there's not a whole history and culture that says that this is wrong. I was simply asking, can something be just because it is? No, it can't. That's what I'm explaining to you. You can do that with chips and ice cream because there's not a whole history and culture that's informing you about what's the better chips and what's the better ice cream. Do you see what I'm saying? But there's a whole history and culture of colorism and racism, white being better than black, light skin, lighter skin of any shade, of depending on who you're comparing, um, is better than the darker skin. There's a whole culture, a whole systematic culture that fuels that from the time you are born and come out the womb. It's not the same thing with ice cream and potato chips. That's kind of like a false equivalency. You have to consider how race is informing your taste. And it doesn't mean that you have to stop liking what you like. You can have the preferences. You can have it. I'm probably never gonna stop liking dark skinned men. But I can acknowledge where these things are coming from and make sure that in the other areas of my life that I'm constantly, when I talk about, when I center, when I feature people, how am I choosing dark skinned girls to be able to feature when I'm curating a panel? Am I making sure, you know, we are discussing a lot of things. It's a race, masculinity, how to be anti-black, so many things. So you're saying if you're not aware and you think in your mind that it could be just because when it's actually not, I'm correct. Right. When we're talking about preferences in people, in human beings, it's more to it than just, oh, this is just my preference. You got that preference from somewhere. You got it. It came. It was informed by something. And it's a combination of your innate attraction to certain things and the things in the culture around you. Like, what you've been sold in magazines and TV and what they consider pretty, what they consider beautiful, what size is considered pretty and what size is considered unattractive, what shape, like, because there's big girls. If you are in big girl circles or big people circles, they would tell you that there's a certain type of big that is actually acceptable. There's women who are, if they have an hourglass shape and they're big, like hippie, small waist, big titties, but big, that is more preferable than like an apple shape where it's just like the waist is big and it's girly. It's not the kind of figure eight kind of shape with the thighs and the hips and the small waist and big titties. It that that image of a female body, that's acceptable in all shapes. long as it has those proportions. But if you have that misproportion, you bigger up top and the bottom is small, and it's a certain type of big that is acceptable. And so thinking about that, like it's just different layers of what has taught you what is acceptable. Triangle, pear shape, yeah. Pear shape is a little bit more acceptable than a triangle shape. An upside down triangle where you Johnny Bravo, wide back and small. For a woman, that's not attractive in regards to how the world is selling it to us. So when we talk about anti-blackness, that's just rooted in race. So in race, if your preferences revolve, or if you have, even if you have a preference that revolve around skin color, like if you can say, oh, I just prefer light skinned men, just the dichotomy of light skin and that you're creating a difference is rooted in racism. just you saying that lets me know that there's a root to that, whatever that preference. You see what I'm saying? Just saying that is rooted in racism. Because there's not a black and white in color. There are different ranges of color. So where they fall at, who is light skin, who is not skin. So if we got a person that's perfect brown, that's not dark or light, you're not going to be attracted to that person. Or what if they're a little bit closer to the light? Then you like them? Or if they a little bit closer to the dark, but they ain't really dark. Like, it's too arbitrary. It's fake and whack. So even if you're having that that conversation about, I prefer white skin, I prefer dark skin, oh, I prefer browns, it's still rooted in colorism. It's still rooted in, there's a reason why you like that. So yeah, it's just a very, very different than ice cream flavors. There ain't no history in ice cream flavors, or history in potato chip flavors, or history in, there's some preferences that are rooted in problematic shit. There's some preferences that are kind of rooted in nothing, like chips and ice cream. And I prefer, I don't know. I prefer a mahogany teakwood candle over Japanese cherry blossom candle. They're not. That's your preferences in that doesn't. It's not rooted in anything because there's no history. That always seem to catch my eye. I don't know. Even when I watch porn, they catch my eye. I got some work to do, and that's another thing. I don't think it is. I know for a fact I'm not gonna get to a point where I'm not gonna be attracted to dark skinned men. I'm not gonna get to that point. But I can make sure that I'm conscious of how that anti-black sentiment, those roots, how they show up in other places. It's not problematic showing it up like that in my sex life, but it may show up in other places that I need to make sure I'm clocking. I'm clocking that T. Probably ammo. Hmm. Yeah, everybody has something. It's not that it could be way, and that could be, it might not show up for you in color. That could show up for you in fat phobia. That could be you like muscular men because you could be fat phobic. I'm not saying that you are, but you get what I'm saying? Like, it's so many things that we are sold about beauty and attractiveness. Do you see what I'm saying? That what makes something perfect, that we are waxing and waning about. Like, I have a homeboy who loves big girls, and he just got to the point in the past, like 15 years, 10, 15 years, where he's open about it. When he was younger, he used to sneak and hook up with big girls and not tell nobody. And they wondering why he ain't got no girlfriend. Because he had so many skinny girls chasing him. I'm trying to undo a whole bunch of shit. Same here. We all are, but I think what makes you a good person is you're conscious of these things. I still deal with colorism. I'm learning to undo my own colorism when it comes to attraction to lighter skinned Black men, but I know it comes from a trauma of being called dark. Yeah. That's one. Colorism is one. Sexism is another. Another with gay men, not just gay men, but I'm calling them out right now. Their sexism, how they engage with women, particularly because they're not attracted to them, it can be real sexist as fuck. Like you listening to conversation that they have about women, and it's just sexist. It's like what? Like what are you talking about? Well, that's just how women are. No, that's not how women are. You're just a misogynist asshole. And because you're not sleeping with them, for some reason you think that gives you, makes you exempt. And it's not. It's so many things, so many situations. Particularly people who are also oppressed. Like when you talk to white gays and you like, yo, stop talking like a Black girl. That's racist. What do you mean, honey? Miss Thing. And they don't, and when you try to call them out, they like, I'm gay. I know how that feels. But you're not Black. So you might know how it feels to be marginalized because you're gay, but you're not Black. And you don't know that what you just did is racist. Just because you are oppressed in one way doesn't make you an expert in being oppressed in another at all. And so you got to be conscious of that. So when somebody is trying to educate you, you got to be open. There's a lot of times, and I don't mean they're always right. Don't get me wrong. That don't mean they're always right, because motherfuckers will try to sell you some oppression that ain't real. Because I know a trans girl that will weaponize her transness against queer folks, where she will call something transphobic and it's not. You're just trying to manipulate the situation. So that don't mean that they're always right, but what it is be conscious. Because they can weaponize that oppression against people too. I've been watching that lately too. And then there's trans misogyny. Some cis gay men try to attract a trans person transition based on cisgender norms. Absolutely. Definitely trans misogyny within the queer male space and queer female space. And when gays will try to speak for or in place of the trans community. Absolutely. That David John or John David or whatever, I don't know what his name is, but he was on NAACP for Transgender Day of Remembrance. How are you on their site? The dude that was on the Breakfast Club when Malik Yoba was there, I called him out on the post. Oh, hold on, I'm about to show it to y'all. But the NAACP, oh, they took it down. They had posted it, but they took it down, I guess. Oh, no, they didn't. Nope, they didn't.
We shift from celebrating the Greetings. My name is David Johns, and I'm the Executive Director of the National Black Justice Coalition. One of the ways that we shift from celebrating the beautiful contributions of trans members of our community after their lives have been stolen, to celebrating and honoring the abundant ways in which they show up and contribute so much joy and so many other powerful things to our community, is to give them the flowers while they can smell them. Each of us can seek to do no harm as we build with, learn to support, and find other ways to amplify the many contributions that Black trans members of our community make to families, to communities, and to our country. I encourage you to seek out these leaders as they show up and show out even when there is no spotlight, and to find ways to love on them, to support them, and to protect them in the ways that they love on, protect, and support our beautifully diverse community.
So,
my name is David Johns.
So that's all. That sounds all good, right? Is what he said is the right words, but you got to pay attention to the context of what's happening. This is to celebrate us. This is to celebrate not celebrate our deaths, but it's remembering the people who have fallen. This is the NAACP's platform. They have 1.7 million followers. You choose a gay man to come on your platform to talk about trans women. Why wouldn't you pick a trans woman to do that? So that's number one, NAACP. Why would you pick a gay man to talk about trans women when you can give a trans woman that platform? That's one thing on the person relinquishing their platform side. You, a gay man, why would you choose to take this space up when you could say, I think that this space should be given to a Black trans woman, since they are the one who are predominantly murdered, and this is what this holiday is about, what this event is about. Why don't you give this space to a Black trans woman to talk about TDOR, Transgender Day of Remembrance? Why would you let a gay man do that? This does not make sense. It doesn't make sense. And although you're saying nice words, I know you're not a real ally, because you wouldn't have tucked up that space. You would have said, I think a Black trans woman. It's like, I'm not going to be in a space talking about gay man shit. I'm not going to be, that's like me talking about Native American heritage on Christopher Columbus Day, where where I'm trying to dismantle Christopher Columbus and do Indigenous People Day, and I'm going to talk about Native Americans on some big platform. No, I'm going to hit up my friend who's a Native and say, no, y'all need to hire her. Y'all need to pay her to be on the platform because she is a Native. That's common sense. Like, she is a Native. If I'm a white woman, I'm not going to talk for Black women. I'm going to be on this show to talk about the intimate partner violence against Black women. And I'm a white woman, or I'm a Latinx woman. No, I'm going to say, no, I don't want to take up that space. If we're talking about specific Black stuff, we need to get a Black woman to take up this space. It seems like it's common sense, but apparently it's not, because I don't understand why the NAACP got a Black man to be on their platform. Am I tripping? And he's saying, and I'm not saying that he's not saying no nice stuff, but why wouldn't you have a trans woman do that? It seemed like it would be common sense. Maybe I'm tripping. No, not at all. Definitely not. But this is, and for me, this isn't even about understanding that our struggles aren't the same. This is about, this holiday is for you. This holiday is for trans people. Why would you be talking about it? It just seems like it would be so common sense. I don't get it. But him But we have had this experience with him before. When we were on the Breakfast Club, the Malik Yoba thing, that was about trans women. That wasn't about gay men. So why are you even on the show? This is a man that's coming out as trans attracted. Why are you here? I don't understand. But okay. Breakfast Club is trash by default, absolutely. And he did all that talking. He or Malik. Right. Oh Lord. So, but yes. So Diamond, would you have Ashley Preston on your pod? Seems like she would be a good one. I don't know. I don't know her, so I can't say that I wouldn't. But I don't really know her like that. I don't really follow her work. I just I don't really know her like that. I would. I guess I've met her once at the trans march. At the trans march, I met her there. She was quite quiet, not negative at all, but she was quite quiet and kind of just standing around. Um, yeah, no reason why she wouldn't be on the show, but I don't really follow her work. I like to yeah, people that done came on my shows because I know them and follow their work. Or Mia and Z knows them and follow their work. Like I can analyze what they do. I don't know what she does. I know she speaks out on stuff, but like her actual work and her organizing work, I don't know. I know she did a I don't want to say that. There was an incident where she interrupt somebody, and sometimes those be seeming like they stunts. So I don't know, child. Where they were like, were they crashing somebody on stage and interrupting? Where it seems like it's performative just to get famous. I don't know, but sometimes I'd be like, girl. So what's the okay? You did that. What's the work you doing though? Like, what's the organizing work that's helping folks? It's hard. It's hard out here. Yeah, it's hard out here. So I'm like, cool. But once you get this platform, what is you doing? How are you? This this is not about her. So I don't like I said I don't know her. So I don't know what her tea is. But what I have come across in this space is people are trying to get famous. And so they'll do these things to get famous, but it doesn't, they are putting themselves up as activists or organizers, and They'll chime in when a trending topic is hot. They'll put that video out just to get the likes and the retweets. But in real life, they're not doing any work. They're not dismantling any systems. They're just trying to get on CNN. They're just trying to get on TV. They're just trying to be popular. They're trying to take sickening pictures. You feel what I'm saying? It's not, they're trying to be famous. They're not trying to do the work. And so I run in that a lot. Diamond, are there subtle things that people of that may not realize are classics? Classic. People do, but may not realize it's classes. If you judge poor people, if you judge people who don't have educations, if you judge people who live in a certain place that is poor, if you judge people when you think they're poor and you're not for sure if they are, if you value somebody's opinion and status just because they're rich, all of that is based in classism. If you think white schools are better just because they're white, or just because they're in a white area, they can be better, but that don't mean their students are good. I mean, their teachers are good. They might have more resources, but that don't mean the teachers are great. They teachers could suck. You could go, I know tons of teachers at poor schools that are great teachers. They just don't have the resources. So thinking that this school is better. Also, Michelle Obama talked about this too. She was like, I was told that I needed to be 10 times better. So once I go into this school, into Princeton, and I'm meeting these students that's supposed to be the cream of the crop of the whites. And I'm like, these niggas is regular or dumb. So I thought I was gonna come in here and it was gonna be elite. And these regular ass people that is dumb or equal. I'm not seeing anybody that stands out. And I know y'all have been in situations. I've been in situations where I came into a job or they put me on a panel and with all these people with much higher education degrees than me, and I blew their ass away because they didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. Because they don't live it. And so that was rooted, me privileging them, me thinking that they're better or thinking that they're somehow great. That was rooted in classism. That was rooted in, they're in the upper class, they make more money, they got higher degrees than I do. And it could have turned into an intimidation, but I'm not intimidated by people. So not people that I'm not intimidated by people who I don't know. But it could have been if I was somebody who was like that. Like, ooh, I'm scared to go to. But I've had bosses that I was much, much more smarter than. Yeah, a lot of them, Mo. Class. Thinking somebody, another class thing is, oh, you're on the bus or you work retail. So you, I was a store manager working retail and I had a whole degree. But I had a lot of those white women that would come in and they would be like, oh, that's why you work retail. Black ones too. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have made that a racist thing, a racial thing. It was black ones too. A lot of black women come in here. Oh, that's why you work. That's why you work here. Or you thinking that just because they work at McDonald's that you don't know, just because they work at McDonald's, you think that they're beneath you. That's a classic thing. Because you don't know what else. They could be going to school, they could be doing so many things, and they're working at McDonald's. The kind of car they drive, anything. Class is about the status, what status you have. Anything that where you're judging somebody based on the status they have, that it shows up in classism. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. All right, y'all. Well, we got, this is gonna be an hour and a half. So we got 9 minutes. We at 121. What else? Last question. Make sure y'all thumbs up. Make sure y'all follow March's Play or Diamond Stylz on Instagram. Check out our new show. We talk about Mike Tyson. I put a video up about our Mike Tyson conversation. I didn't put the whole thing up, but Mike Tyson conversation. We talk about Candace Owens. We talk about abortion too. So that is our new episode. It's linked in the bottom. We need to leave this up. As long as it doesn't go over 2 hours, I leave them up. It's when it's over 2 hours, it's too long and people don't watch the rest. 2 hours, my retention stays. Like it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, people just stay and watch. But when it gets past 2, motherfuckers be dropping like flies. Girl, you talking too much. Get a good day. What's your thoughts on Lori Harvey being the new Goals? Oh, Lori Harvey is my idol, baby. I need her to sleep and run through all these niggas. Figure out which one is late and tired. I need you to have all of them. She is me. If I was cisgender, baby, I would be Lori Harvey, baby. Testing all the waters, all the fine niggas on my arm. Different one every 6 months. Bringing them home to Papa. I love her. I love how she's been, and I love how she don't be talking. She don't be explaining, arguing with motherfuckers on the gram. She just, honey, a new nigga, who this? New man alert. And it don't even be no motherfucking, regular ass nigga. It be top tier nigga. I got Michael B. Jordan. I got The Future. I got, these rich niggas, baby. Drake. All kind of shit. I live. She's goals. Definitely idol goals, baby. I live. They recounted Wisconsin and found more Biden ballots. I know they over it. I think Angela Simmons is thirsty. I don't like that family. I just don't like them. Yeah, I don't like them. And that Russell Simmons put the nail in the coffin. His rapist self. I just don't. I never got into them. Lori Harvey is more classy and quiet. Yeah, I like her. Lori Harvey is like. How do I want to say this? Lori Harvey is like Kendall Kardashian. You know how she's the quiet Kardashian. She don't be. Well, Kylie is too though. Kylie don't be really in no mess, but but Kendall don't be in no mess at all. At all. Kendall mind her business. She don't be entertaining motherfuckers on the internet, popping back off. She just, I'm a model. I'm about to walk this runway. She's like Kendall. Like they be in motherfuckers' mouths, but besides the Pepsi thing. But I didn't fault Kendall for that. I fought Pepsi. I didn't fault her. She didn't write the treatment. She just got hired on. And I wouldn't expect her to be woke, to be like, ooh, this is problematic. I thought she felt like, ooh, I'm just doing a Pepsi commercial. Because she's not black at all. What's upcoming on the podcast? T.S. Madison. T.S. Madison, Aria Saeed, and Mariah Moore. I haven't decided if I'm going to have T.S. Madison. I have 2 weeks before we are hosting an event together, me and Madison, and so I'm doing the show before it, and so it's the group of women who are throwing it. That's Aria and Mariah, and me and T.S. Madison are hosting it. So I don't know if I'm gonna do the T.S. Madison one first. I done recorded both of them, or the Mariah Moore first. Mariah and Aria Saeed first. I haven't decided. So the next one is gonna be one of them because it's December the 11th. So yes, T.S. different than her online persona are the same. T.S. Madison, that's her. Who you see is her. She's not a different person. I've been friends with Madison, what I consider friends with Madison, since 2014, 15, somewhere around there, where we literally, started talking on the phone and chit chatting. But I, our relationship started 2010, but people don't know our history, but you will know our history on the show. Because we went through some stuff, not no negative stuff, but some stuff where y'all spill the tea. We spill all the tea. And so, but yeah, she's not a different person. That's not a character she's playing. That's her. She definitely is herself. She's like that on and off. Hey, so baby, we got 1 minute. Oh no, we don't. We got No minutes. So all the links are in the bottom. Make sure y'all thumbs up. I'll leave this up because it's only 1.5. I will see y'all. Yeah, I really think. Yeah, so make sure y'all listen to the podcast. It will be up on Thursday. If y'all see any deals on air fryers, send it to me on Twitter. Send me the link. If y'all see if there's any good deals that y'all been seeing today, or Cyber Monday, let me know. Any good deals, hit me on Twitter because I'm always on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter if you have Twitter. Instagram, I don't really. The Twitter is my shit now. Facebook, of course. Hit me up on Facebook. What else? What else? Thumbs up. Make sure y'all click that notification bell. Subscribe if you don't subscribe. What's all the stuff that I'm supposed to say? Let me think of what's coming up. December the 11th is the Trans Winter Gala that's happening virtually. It's free, so come and check that out. You can find that on March's Plates Instagram, information about that. Check it out. Or Transgender Cultural District. It's free. It's going to be Lion Babe, Don Richard. It's hosted by me and T.S. Madison. It is... It ain't never been nothing like this, y'all. It's just India Moore, Trace Lissette, Dominique Morgan. It's just a big ass trans event. It's gonna be performances. Yeah. So, and it's free. Why wouldn't you come? It's free. That you can find that information on March's Plates Instagram. Yeah, so I will see y'all next Friday at 7 o'clock.